Hello, welcome to this section of Whole Health. I am Dr. Ferrara, chiropractor for many years, and today, as you can see, we have a guest, and this is Paul Padula. And Paul Padula is an artist. I've been following him for a long time, and I finally got him to the show. This is a very special segment, and if you want to talk about art, and don't forget this is Whole Health, we want to talk about the mind, body, spirit of artwork, and how art can make you happy and healthy. And anyway, so if you want to talk to a famous and becoming more and more famous every day artist, Paul Padula, you can contact him right now or give us a ring and let us know what art means to you and is art healing. And Paul Padula, you've been painting now for how long?
It's been 12 years now.
12 years. And what made you begin to say, wait a minute, I want to paint?
Well, it kind of hit me abruptly. I woke up one day and said I have to paint, so I decided to take classes and get studio space. And
So what do you mean you woke up one day? I mean, it's like you woke up maybe, and all of a sudden one day?
One day.
Were you dreaming of painting? Like maybe you dreamed?
Not so much a dream, but it was more like I felt compelled, like it was something I had to do.
Mm-hmm. And in your mind, when you thought, okay, I have to paint, did you have something in particular that you thought you wanted to paint?
No, not really. But I felt very strongly that I needed to paint.
And there was some creative energy inside of you that felt like it
Yes.
needed to come out?
Yeah. So I decided to get some studio space and take some classes, and I never expected it to take off as quickly as it did. So
Why do you think it took off so
I'm not
quickly?
sure. I think partially because my heart was in it so much and I was feeling this strong urge to just do it. So I did. And then I just got a lot of attention from galleries and press and that sort of
Well, I've been
started the
reading a
ball rolling.
lot about you in the press, and it seems to me like you were saying there's something about it that was truthful. Do you think it came from the heart? Do you think there's a certain truth in art?
I think that really it's you have to be true to being to expressing what's coming out of you. So, in other words, it's important that you paint what you want to paint and not what you think people want to see.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you said that, because right now we have something that you actually painted.
Oh,
And actually this, and I'm so glad that you brought this as one of my favorite paintings.
okay.
And
So,
I
not
think
this one.
there's something in it
This one.
that speaks to me, and you know what? I can't articulate what it is, but there's something about this painting that speaks to me, and maybe you can tell me what it is you were trying to convey
Well,
that I'm responding to.
Maybe I should first say that I am a minimalist painter. So perhaps one of the reasons why people respond well to my work is because I leave out a lot of things. So being a minimalist, I leave a lot to the imagination, and there's a certain peacefulness that can be felt when viewing a minimalist work often.
Well, that's what I've read a lot of people, how they respond to your work.
Right.
They said they feel, anyway, let's show this piece.
So
and
this is a very minimal.
let's cut to a close-up here, okay? Can you bring it up?
I can't really see it.
Okay. And okay, we'll go further wide too. And bring it over to me. And what is the name of this painting?
This painting is called 7 Johnson, which is actually an address of where this is located in Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Okay, and as I can see, it is very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the reason why I like it is because I like the way I feel when I see it. And as a chiropractor, we're looking at ways sometimes to decrease stress and to zone out of your normal world and get into a different world, a world that makes you feel comfortable. And this somehow makes me feel, and a lot of your work does. So you have that ability, and I've seen, and I'm only bringing this up because other people said the same thing.
When people come to my studio, there's a lot of people that say, oh, I just feel so peaceful, or I just feel so good. So I do hear the same things often. So there must be something to that.
I'm wondering if it's because we live in such chaos. People have stress. People are running for the subway and making dinner and maybe going to school and doing so many different things. And when you look at your painting, everything's in order. Everything feels like it's in order and it's clean and uncluttered. And we have such maybe cluttered lives that maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. I can show you another one if you want.
I love your painting, so yes.
Okay, so this one is more of
It's me.
a road.
Uh-huh.
You might want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a road.
Yeah.
And
So
it's
again,
very...
it's minimal.
Uh-huh.
And the sky is very clear. I think that even though it's a road, people find peace in the roads too, because it's sort of, roads are a mystery too. I like painting roads because to me they're a metaphor. We never really know what's at the end of the road or around the corner, and I feel that roads mean something different to different people.
Mm-hmm. And also, what I like about this is that you don't know where you're going. There's no destination, there's no signs.
Right.
There's no New York, 10 miles ahead, or the beach 10 miles ahead. I mean, so you don't know where you go. Is that the mystery of not knowing? Is that?
There's a mystery of not
part of
knowing,
it?
but also a comfort of feeling like I could see myself on that road.
Well, have you been on that road?
I don't know.
In your mind, at
sort of
least?
mostly in my imagination.
All right, so in your mind, at least you've been there.
My work tends to be half memory and half imagination.
All right, well, that's interesting because I want to talk to you about your most recent painting.
Okay.
This is a painting that, unlike any of your other paintings, because you can see the full house, and a lot of times your houses and your architectural are partial,
Yeah.
and there's a palm tree.
There's a palm tree. So my first palm tree. This painting was actually a commission. I did this for a woman in Santa Monica, California, who will soon have this painting in her house. I just finished it, so it hasn't even been shipped to her yet. But yes, it is my first palm tree, and I've been wanting to paint palm trees for a while.
Well,
they make me feel good.
Okay, it makes me feel good looking at this one as well. And what I can see in this painting is it's very minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your style still in this painting,
Right.
even though it's different from any painting you've ever done. But also, I see a house that's relatively takes up small amount of space, and you have this huge palm tree, and it really balances. It balances the thing very well. Let me see, we get it like this,
yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it balances the framing. And again, have you done anything like this before, or was this a challenge for you, or how did this come about?
I think that, well, first of all, that's the first time I've ever done a house that could be arguably described as a Spanish colonial. Most of the architecture that I deal with is more New England in style. And the idea that the palm tree was so tall, being a Los Angeles style palm tree, I wanted to emphasize that. And in order to get the entire tree into the painting, I had to minimalize the house size.
I mean, I really, really like this painting because it gives you a certain perspective with height. And now, I have another painting that I like too, and this is very minimalist. And let's show the audience what we're talking about here, okay? This painting, now, what is the name of this painting?
This painting is called Island in the Bay.
All right. And again, the island is very small. You have this really fine sand along the beach of the island.
Can that be shown or not?
It's shown. Okay. It is. Okay.
Yeah.
But we're going to cut to you. Can you explain though where this came from? This idea to do this, because it's not architectural.
No, yet it's very minimal.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to paint islands too, so this is a good time. And interestingly enough, this painting sold to the first person who saw it. And guess where she lives?
Where?
Nantucket.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, this is really fascinating. If you have a question for Paul Padula, artist, you can call right here, right now, 617-876-0055. Otherwise, you can hear me ask the questions. I do notice, and I'm sure you've heard this before, there's a certain color blue in your paintings.
I thought you were going to say that I was wearing blue because I always tend to wear blue.
Well, that was my next my question actually. You wear blue, but the blue in your shirt isn't quite the Paul. I think I call, Valentino red. There's a certain red that Valentino always used, and I'm seeing that there's a certain blue, like a Paul Padula blue, I'm going to call it. I don't know if it's been termed that, but...
Well, I hear Paul Padula blue a lot, but I have to say that I use it, I mix all my colors, of course, so each blue that appears on a painting is a little different from another painting. So they're all...
right, so there's no specific blue color, but they are...
variations on a Paul Padula blue theme.
Okay, because it seemed to me, now you have another road one.
Yeah.
And this one here is not going to the beach like your previous one. So can you explain, like this one is going, again, there's this sense of we don't know where this road is taking us, but in a sense we feel like we don't care.
Right.
And I'm not sure if that's where we feel, and there's obviously no traffic or anything, it's very minimalist, that's where we feel peace. I mean, where do you think?
That painting, actually that painting is at my studio now. So I live in Cambridge.
Yeah.
And I live in Cambridge. I do a lot of painting at a studio in Inman Square, actually. But I show my work at 450 Harrison Ave in Boston, and that's where that painting can be seen.
450 Harrison Ave. Now, that is a building full of galleries or artists?
We have about 80 plus artists in our building, and I'm in Studio 314 at 450 Harrison Ave.
Okay, so are there certain hours? I mean, how do people see your work? Because I'm just showing on the internet right now.
I'm often there on Sundays and first Friday of the month in the evening, Sundays during the day.
All right, so the first Friday of every month, including starting in January,
Starting January, 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Okay, 5 to 9, first Fridays, the 450 Harrison Avenue in the South End, right?
The South End.
All right, and this painting is there, and plus others, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But can you tell us now, this road is a little different, and we're not going to the beach in this road.
No.
This is, well, we could be.
We could be, but we don't really know.
There's no indication of it.
But there's a lot of green, so it's sort of open to interpretation.
Now, you are minimalist,
Mm-hmm.
and you also are slightly abstract.
A little bit.
So can I just show the audience now, this particular one is abstract because, let's see if we can get this up here, complete.
There you go.
Okay. The windows, you can kind of like see right through, and that is not a depiction of reality.
No, but it's representational, but a little bit left to the imagination as well. That painting is actually called Beach Twins, and that also was a commissioned painting for somebody in Manhattan Beach, California, which is also in the Los Angeles area.
It's interesting. Okay, so when you talk about commission paintings, what did someone calls you and tells you what their decor is, and how does that work?
This particular case, for example, I got an email from a woman who'd been in Los Angeles who'd been following my work, and she went to my website and she said, I love this piece, I love this piece, I love this piece, but they're all sold. Can you do something like that for me? So I talked to her a little bit, and after the phone conversation, pretty much decided what I thought she wanted. I did a tiny sketch of it and emailed it to her, and she said, perfect. And then I painted it, so it worked out very well.
Well, it probably wasn't very hard because she liked so much of your work that all you had to do was kind of take elements of each.
I only accept commissions if they want something like what I do. So otherwise, I would not accept a commission.
So could we talk about that? Because you sound to saying you want to be true to yourself and true to the work. So
Right.
what you put on the canvas isn't something you're forced to or someone told you, but something that comes out of you?
Right. And that's really important. So as much as I'm open to commissions, I'm only open to them if somebody likes what I'm doing and they're just not seeing something that's available or maybe something that's already sold. I'll never do two of the same paintings, but if someone says they really like something, I can work with that and make enough changes to make something that I think they're going to like.
So you take the elements of the painting
and that I think will suit me as well.
and you do that. Well,
Yeah.
that's very interesting because for all artists, there is such a thing as being true. And, there are artists that say, actors, say that their coach says, don't lie. And how often in our lives do we have to be someone other than who we really are, say something other than what we really want to say, because of external influences?
Right.
So it sounds to me like when you're an artist, the last thing in the world you want to do is take whatever's inside of you and not be true to yourself.
Yeah.
So is there such a thing as just...
Yeah, certainly. I would not accept a commission if I didn't feel like I was painting what was coming out of me. If someone approached me and said, I'd like you to paint my bowl of fruit, or I'd like you to paint my dog, I would say, no, that's not me. You should find another artist to do that because that's not what I do.
And is it fair to say then the people that really respond to your artwork are responding to a very personal part of yourself, a true part
I think
of
that's
yourself?
probably true.
Because it's almost like when you're looking at any artist in history, that you're kind of connecting with that artist's sensibilities, their ideas, and their deepest part of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the same true.
I think that, there's always variations on when people look at art, they see different things. Something different is going to resonate for you, something different is going to resonate for somebody else. But there is a commonality, and one could say that, all of this work comes out of me, so they are relating to something that's deep inside.
All right, now, because you mentioned yourself, I did notice because you think you know Paul Padula, you think you can check out his style, and there could be 1,000 paintings on the wall, and you can say, I know that's a Paul Padula. But sometimes you fool us, and you throw us a curveball, and all of a sudden we see something different. And I'm wondering, first I want to show you what I'm talking about, and then I want you to explain, this here is a figure, still minimalist, so we still have the Paul Padula minimalist artwork here, but this here, can you explain what this film is?
I just finished that painting in the year 2018, so it's my first self-portrait. And
Okay, let me see. Self-portrait, so sit in the chair and let us see. There you go, it actually looks like you.
And I started figures in 2013, the very end of the year, so it's been 5 years that I've been painting figures. And they've become an important part of my portfolio as well. I enjoy painting figures, and I do like taking a minimalist approach to all of them.
Now, self-portraits have been around since, Renaissance, I'm sure before. Many artists have done self-portraits. How did it feel to you to paint yourself?
If I didn't, now this is a case where I do show at the Sharon Weiss Gallery in Columbus, Ohio. Now, the assignment for all artists that show at the Sharon Weiss Gallery was to do a self-portrait for the self-portrait show earlier this year.
Okay,
so it was an assignment. And I was delighted because I wanted to do a self-portrait anyway, and this forced me to do it.
So how did it feel? Did you remove yourself and just say, I'm going to paint?
Well, I had a photo of myself, and then I removed a lot of the background, and I kept the shadow, but I removed a lot of the exterior. There were trees, and there was a road. I removed everything.
Well, you captured yourself quite nicely, even though it's minimalist. And I would imagine that it's a little more difficult to do that because you don't have a lot of features and and whatever else to work with. You don't have a nose in there, you know, but it looks like you, even though it's very minimalist.
Yeah,
Was that more difficult to do?
People do laugh because it does look like me for whatever reason.
There's nothing how much there, but it still looks like you, and so that to me seems like it could have been more difficult.
You know, I sometimes don't even know exactly what it's going to look like until I'm sitting in the studio, and then it just comes out.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you've mentioned 450 Harrison Avenue right here in the South End. First Friday, 5 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
Sharon Weiss Gallery, you said?
Columbus, Ohio, yes.
Columbus, Ohio. So you're way out in the Midwest somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then, is there anywhere else that people can view your work? Well, you have your website.
My website, and
paulpadula.com.
I'm at the B Street Gallery in Dallas.
B Street Gallery, okay, for Dallas.
And I am at the Keogh Gallery in Alexandria, Virginia.
Oh, okay. So,
And I am also at serenaandlily.com, which is nationwide. The two paintings that we showed today are both available at serenaandlily.com.
all right, that's a high-end kind of,
Yeah.
what, they have linens and supplies and housing, accessories.
Other house items, but they have what's called their art collection.
Okay, known for very high-quality art.
Yeah.
Also, is there something in Michigan, did I read?
In Saugatuck, Michigan, I'm at Saugatuck Art Traders. And Saugatuck is a vacation town on Lake Michigan, popular with Chicago and Detroit people.
So this is, unlike many of the artists that I know in this area, you seem to be really spread out in so many, different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Is your artwork also shown all around the country too, or where is it shown?
I have art.
And where is it displayed in people's homes?
In homes, I'm in homes all over the country, and in Canada, and a little bit in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And now it's being shown, they're displayed in galleries around the country.
The galleries I mentioned.
Around the country, in the galleries you mentioned, also serenaandlily.com, which is very interesting. But when people go to paulpadula.com, is there any explanation of who you are? Do you have any?
Oh yeah, there's a bio page about me and how to contact me, and there's also a page that gives the galleries where I'm represented.
Because I've read, you've been in the trade magazines for seems like years since you began almost. And why do you think your images generate so much interest for them?
Well, something about it is resonating. Everyone would have a different reason.
Do they tell you?
The one I hear, the explanation that I hear most often is that it makes me feel really peaceful. It brings a smile to my face, and I want it in my house.
Wow. Okay. Well, let me find what one brings a smile to my. Oh, now wait a minute. This one brings a smile to my face. Okay. This one. Now, what is the name of this one?
The painting is appropriately titled Beach Ball.
Okay.
And the original painting did sell to one of my biggest collectors, actually, in Hampton, New Hampshire, in an oceanfront home. And I also have made a couple of prints of this painting. Prints of my paintings are available. I sell them framed. And there's a framed piece of Beach Ball in a Belmont home, and also one in Los Angeles.
Wow. So, but this, and you still, now let me show it again, because this still has that Paul Padula blue, and I'm not sure if it's the color, I'm not sure if because I'm at the beach, I'm not sure because the colors of the beach ball, and it's very simple, but it gives you a feeling, and it gives you an emotion in such a simple way. And here, the beach ball, and it's called Beach Ball, and we still have the Paul Padula blue, and that little shadow tells you that it's noon or thereabouts, a little afternoon. And what made you decide, were you thinking like, oh, I feel like I want to be at the beach?
I just almost could say I woke up one day and said, I have to paint a beach ball.
So there's probably all kinds of things floating around in your head at any given time, and all of a sudden you just say, wait a minute, that's what I want to do today.
And I really wanted to make sure I had a shadow of the ball on the sand, which was
Let me take a look at that
important
again.
part of the composition. And that's really all I wanted. I didn't want anything else in the painting.
Now, let me just tell you, because if you've watched the show before, you know that we talk about decreasing stress and being in a state of flow. And flow is being in this state where you don't know what time it is, you're out of your normal routine. And we've all had those experiences, right? When you're doing something that you can't believe an hour went by and it felt like 2 minutes. So I want to ask you, are you ever in a state of flow with these when you're painting?
I would say most of the time, yes. I almost all the time I'm in the state of flow when I'm painting. I often don't know exactly what I'm going to paint when I go to the studio. So I let the painting happen. I let the painting take on a life of its own. If I put too much force into it, instead of letting it happen in a more non-stressful way, then it'll look like I painted it rather than that it painted itself.
Okay, so it's more like an organic process. All of a sudden you think of a color as you're going through, because these here paintings all seem, now, okay, here we go. I have another painting I want to talk about, and this is very similar to the beach ball we just saw. And this here gives that very beach feeling. It seems like the same size, is it?
It is the same size, and that painting is titled Oasis.
Okay. And again, was it swirling around in your head? You said you woke up one day, it's like, wait a minute, let me just paint something that might come from my memory or something I've seen.
Yeah, I had been wanting to paint a beach umbrella as well. I mean, I tend to be very beach oriented, obviously, and I'd wanted to paint an umbrella, so I did. That painting actually
And
is
can you
in,
just tell us in the last 10 seconds that we have, what's the advice for artists that you can give?
you have to paint what's in your heart, and you have to really allow it to happen. You can't force anything.
Excellent. I'm Dr. Ferrara, and we will see you in 2 weeks on Whole Health.
We're off the air.
We're off? Yeah. Yeah, we're off, yeah. That was excellent. Okay, let's get out.
I was like, I think it still records on that.
Yeah, we're gonna.